Just across the South River from Annapolis lies London Town, once one of Maryland's earliest colonial ports. Founded in 1683, this waterfront settlement became a center of trade, travel, and ideas in the decades leading up to the American Revolution. Merchants, ferrymen, craftsmen, and enslaved laborers all shaped daily life here, as tobacco and goods moved through the Chesapeake and out to the wider world. Today, historic London Town and Gardens preserves this legacy on 23 acres of history, archaeology, and living landscapes, inviting us to better understand our past, our environment, and our shared humanity.
We're standing in what we call the tenement house. This is the earliest structure that was constructed on this site. It was being built in the 1690s. It was certainly standing by 1700. It was built by a man named David McElfresh, who styled himself as the Lord Mayor. But the only documents we have where he is called Lord Mayor are his own documents. So we're not really sure the extent of the power he had, but he did own several plots of land here. And this house is simply not nice enough for what somebody like him would have been able to afford. We believe that he was renting it out to folks that needed to rent, which is a very common thing in the 17th, 18th century. And this is just your average working class family home. We didn't find any high status luxury goods. All of the ceramics we found were very utilitarian. This is a space where, an average family size, 6 or 8 people are going to be living in this space, 20 foot by 20 foot, second story, cooking over this fire. And we do still cook over this fire today. We reconstructed this house and we have foodways here all the time. We can sort of adjust how close things are to the fire by adjusting the trammel here. This house is really built for the summer. This fireplace is all off to one side so that, when you're cooking on it, it doesn't heat the whole house up because, we're in the Chesapeake and the summers are hot. And this is just really something, this is going to be a home for, could be a family of laborers, a family of craftsmen, just anyone that was in a position where they had to rent in Tidewater, Maryland.
Well, today we're doing laundry, and it's a multi-step process. It really takes a few days. When you're doing a big load of laundry like this, normally we'd be doing our laundry every day of things like our shifts and our shirts, our underclothes. But when you're doing the great wash, what we call the great wash, where you're doing the sheets and the linens, and really a lot of other cloth, then that would take a few days because there are many steps. First, you want to soak your laundry, your dirty laundry, and you have some agents that you can use for getting the stains out. You have some vinegar, for example, that works well. It creates pH. You can do ash, actually, and also you can use urine. This is spent urine, or rather something that's sat for a couple of weeks. So that you put it in there with water and let it soak for a few hours or overnight. Then you want to boil it, and so we've got the big cauldron there with the hot fire going, and you just bring the water from the river or from the well, and it would have boiling there for several hours as well, and that's going to help just get all those things out and get the steaming and the boiling water, get as much of it clean as possible. So those are the first 2 steps. Then we're ready to wash. We'll bring the cloth over and the clothes over to the wash tub. And here we're not washing like we do today, where you're just rubbing against each other. We don't want to do that. That's going to be very difficult for the cloth. We want to preserve the cloth and the material as much as possible. Fabric is very expensive. So we just want to knead it. And we're just kneading it here. We have soap that we're using, and this is lye soap. And so it is very difficult on the fabric. We want to be very gentle with it. And once we've done that and it's sort of gone into soapy water, we're going to come out here and use these paddles to kind of get the excess water out. This is sort of like the spin cycle in today's washing. And so you're just going to beat it. And you're not using a great deal of force, but it's just enough to get the water and the soap and of course all that filth out of the way. once you've done that for a while, then you're ready to rinse, and the rinse water will change more frequently. And just your rinsing, you might want to use some bluing agents to get your whites very crispy white. And for that, we have indigo, which looks green, but actually, when you put it in the water, it's going to make it like a sky blue, and that will help the whiteness and the brightness of the white to come out. It's important to get your whites as white as possible. It's a sign of cleanliness, of course, but also well grooming, and it really does correlate in the period. It correlates with your character. And you'll see some laundry marks. In this case, this is for Susanna Brown of the Brown House, and she has put a number on it as well, so she can keep track of her pieces. This is it looks like maybe a pillowcase. And so she knows that it's hers, of course, and she knows how many she's put in the laundry and to get them back. And also which bed, perhaps which bed it goes with. So that will soak for a while and rinse. And then we have to lay it out to dry. We have some things that we've laid out, but also you can lay it out on the sunny grass, and the sun will act also to help bleach. Well, a lot of these things that we've used create the pH and is a little bit of a bleaching agent, so the sun will help finish the process. And once it's dry or a little bit dry, then we can iron it. We have the iron going. We would have get it warmed up with coals, and we usually would have two irons, so you can have one warming up while the other one is ready to be used, and then you can iron the clothes. And you can use starching agents as well, some wheat starch, and also this is some isinglass, which can be used to starch the cloth. And that's it. So it's a multi-step process. Each step will take quite a bit of time. So we don't do the great wash very often. Maybe once a month, maybe once a quarter. But it can be sort of a neighborhood kind of community affair. It's more fun to do it with your neighbors. But there are some professional laundresses that will do the wash for you. That's something that you can hire out.
I'm Elizabeth Ferguson. I'm the stay maker here in London town. To step away from character and explain a little bit, stay makers were generally men, and my husband Alexander Ferguson was the stay maker and a tailor here in London town. When he passed away in October of 1770, I assumed his stay making business. I put ads in the paper so that people would know the stay making business is still open, and please bring me your business to have your stays made. My son Alexander Ferguson took over the tailoring business. Now, if you do not know what stays are, perhaps if I told you they were corsets, that would make more sense. Corsets is a French word. We were not using the French terminology here in the United States until around in the 1830s, so they were called stays prior to that time. Stay makers were typically men because it is a very labor-intensive job. The stay maker not only had to make the fabric part of the stays to fit the individual's body, but they had to create the boning, which was from whale baleen, and I do have a piece of whale baleen. It's quite large. It had to be cut into small pieces of boning to fit each boning channel. I'm working on a pair here, but obviously I'm not using baleen, I'm using reed. So you can see, this is just the front panel, and it has all this boning, and the boning will go completely around my body. Contrary to popular belief, they're very comfortable because they are made to fit your body, and they're very supportive. So you can work in them, you can stand for long periods of time, and they give you a lot of support. If your boning in your stays were to break, you take it back to the stay maker, and he would recreate a new piece and repair your stays, because they were really an investment. All women wore stays. They had maternity stays. They had stays for little children. Both boys and girls wore them as toddlers because they both wore gowns, trained their posture. Once boys were potty trained, then they wore traditionally male clothes. Prior to that, they wore the same clothes as our sisters would have worn.
All right, so we are declaring independence. So you don't have to be quiet. You do not have to be quiet. Exciting news.
Just don't throw rocks at it.
In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and women, that they are endowed by their Creator with
Thus the
certain
hypocrisy.
unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly, for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He hath kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts,
burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince, whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant, is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors.
Here, here.